Hello everyone. A request was made to create a video showcasing the processes that we used during the Sedona exercising class. The major subjects that we covered that day were precomposing and Luma matting. So I will cover those two in this short video. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a composition that matches the size of my Sedona 2 video. That is the sepia version of the video that we use in the montage. I'll drag it to the composition icon, and there is my Sedona composition with the video. Next, I am going to place the Squares Matte video right on top of that layer to cover the Sedona 2. And then I am going to select Sedona 2 layer, and I am going to duplicate it by pressing Ctrl D. Now, it is this Sedona 2 movie that I will turn into a track that I will use for track matting based on the Squares Matte black and white information. For that, I need to switch to my modes window, and I will activate in the middle layer Luma matting. Right now, we really don't see a major difference, except that if I were to turn off my bottommost layer, I can see that the track matte has been activated. So what I'll do is, number one, I will proceed to change the color of my composition, because I just noticed that it's a really icky green, and I will make it white. Click OK. And then I will go ahead and reduce the transparency of my bottommost layer. By pressing the T key, I call the opacity property, and I will go ahead and reduce that to about 50%, perhaps a little higher, 75%. Now, if you truly want to match the color of the final video, what we want to do is one of two things. Either we could take advantage of that color change of the background, so I can go back to my composition settings by pressing Ctrl K, and I can change this to a brown that matches my overall color scheme in my video. So that's around this coloration. And that gives me a better option for setting up that color. Or I can always go back into the Sedona 2 layer, the one that has the track matte, and change its mode to overlay or lighten if we want to sort of match that color. Now, there's other tricks we could use for this, and we haven't covered those in class yet. We will do those after the test. So with this trio of layers set up, I am pretty much set to get going with my background. Now, I recall in the video, in the class, what we did is right after this appeared, let's say about 1 second in, 1 second into the composition, we went ahead and placed the full color Sedona file on top of the stack. And then we reveal this by using the smoke video. So I'll go ahead and place the smoke video on top of the Sedona 1. And obviously we only have one side of smoke. The smoke came from both sides on the final video. So what we did for that was we went ahead and duplicated that layer, and then we rotated it by pressing the R key on the selected layer. I rotated it 180 degrees so that it is facing the opposite way. Now you notice that this is a black and white layer, so this black area is going to cover the other smoke that's below it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change its mode from normal to lighten, and that way I can see both pieces of smoke coming in at the same time. These two layers for smoke are going to be my Luma Matte to reveal my Sedona 1 layer right here. So what I need to do now is I need to go ahead and select these two layers, and I need to precompose them. To precompose two layers, I'll go ahead and go into, after I've selected the layers that I want to precompose, I'll go into Layer, Precompose, or Control-Shift-C, or Apple-Shift-C on the Mac. Then I will give this the name of Smoke Matte, getting to the use of using names that make sense within your compositions. As you've seen, we get a stack of layers fairly quick, so it's easy to identify things when you name them appropriately. I'll go ahead and use Smoke Matte for this one, and I'll click OK. Now that has become a single layer with those two layers precomposed into them, into that precomposition. I'm sorry, the two layers are still inside that precomposition, but as you can see, I still see the black and white information, which is what I need. So I'll go back to my Sedona 1 layer, the one that is the full color Sedona, and I'll go ahead and activate Luma matting in that layer. The result of that is I'll have my black and white or my sepia tone Sedona in the background. Then I'll have the color 1 being filled out by the smoke, being revealed by the smoke. Those are the two tricks that we covered in class, basically Luma matting and track matting. Now for the rest of the composition, what we did is a sequence of these same processes to place this whole setup, this whole collage into the wiggle mat, and then placed in the background of that whole precomposition, we put the AB soft edges, which we stretched to fill the background. And then in between those two, we mixed in the Sedona title, moving it across the screen, which is pretty self-explanatory. So I hope this clarifies the process of creating track mats and precompositions within this exercise.